Hello and welcome to the start of the baseball season week of Big Scott and Pops Talking Baseball. So how you doing today, Dan?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Anything new for us in the baseball landscape? I haven't heard
Actually, I
any.
got quite a bit this week.
Okay, well let's hear it.
I
Let's
mean,
start
it's
it
just,
off.
a lot of it might be redundant for the people watching because they might already know this, but some might not.
All
So
right, we'll
anyway,
add our two
it's no
cents to it.
secret. It's no secret that the the most important elbow on the planet right now belongs to Garrett Cole. Uh,
Yeah, I got a little story behind that too, real quick. So we had our fantasy draft last Sunday. Me and you talked about it. And guess who my first pick was in my fantasy draft?
Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole. Guess what I got a text message about Monday? Garrett Cole. I was like, sounds about right.
Well, he's had two opinions and he's had two scans. It apparently is an inflamed nerve. There's nothing wrong with the ligaments. They don't have to have surgery.
What I saying, he might miss up to 2 months anyway.
Well, it was first. It can't. The last I heard was 10 to 12 weeks. Uh, that was the last thing I heard. Um,
12 weeks would be 3 months.
well, that's the last I heard was 10 to 12 weeks. And
Yeah.
that's getting on 2.5 to 3 months.
Right.
Now, staying with the Yankees, might as well get them out of the way first. When they were trying to trade for Dylan Cease and for Cohen from Milwaukee, the reason they didn't trade was because both teams wanted Spencer Jones, their outfielder, the 6'6" outfielder, who is supposed to be the next, Mickey Mantle type thing, Joe DiMaggio. But they would not include him, so that's why those deals fell through. So the Yankees are still looking around for people like Montgomery, maybe Snell, things like that. And, well, guess what? The Padres trade for Dylan Cease. Sign him for $8 million this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
Milwaukee's closer, Devin Williams, has two stress fractures in his back. He's out until at least mid-season.
Yeah, he's a South Boston native, Virginia.
Yeah. Mike Lorenzen was offered a contract for $5 to $7 million for 1 year, and he wants at least 2 years to more. So he didn't take that. He was offered that by Milwaukee. In L.A., Yamamoto has an 838 earned run average this spring. He seems. I watched one game it looks great the first time through the lineup, and then he gets bombed because they know what's coming, and he throws strikes on the first pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he gets bombed, but he has 14 strikeouts in 9 1/3 innings. You can see the talent. Now, some of my buddies at church this morning were, oh yeah, well he stinks. He's going to be. I said, wait a minute, guys. I'll give you a name. Ichiro Suzuki. If I remember correctly, he was decent. Now, when he first came over here, he didn't set the world on fire because he had to adjust. It was an adjustment from the Japanese game to the American game.
There is. Over there, they take a lot of first pitches over there. That's why his first pitch is a strike.
And that's so Suzuki, once he adjusted, a Hall of Famer. Now,
Easily, yeah.
I'm not gonna start saying Yamamoto's a bust until he gets maybe halfway through the season, and then if he's still having problems.
Well, I'm not even going back to Ichiro Suzuki. I will compare to what I saw as a Mets fan last year. Cody Senga, the first month of the season, looked like a bust. He struggled with the American game, and then he got that ghost pitch going and dominated. I mean, he's second all-time in strikeouts in Mets rookie history to Doc Gooden. That's pretty good company. He was, I think, second in rookie voting. He was talked about in the Cy Young. So, you know.
Yeah, he finished fifth in the Cy Young voting.
Yeah, you got to let him adjust. I mean, now Senga's out till further notice because he's having arm discomfort and just tired arm or whatever. So hopefully he comes back from that pretty good. But it looks like Severino is doing okay for the Mets. So I hope he has a comeback.
Well, Verlander of Houston, he's starting bullpen. In the bullpen, they think he's a little ahead of schedule, but they're not going to push him. So he's starting that.
Right.
As of this past Wednesday, Senga was going to be out another 7 to 10 days before they started working with him. The A's signed old J.D. Davis 1 year.
And the Mets talked about signing him.
Yeah,
back
$2.5 million. And I put this in. It's not a big deal, but I really like this guy. I'd like this kid when he played with the Nationals. I've always pulled for him. Michael A. Taylor.
Yeah.
He signed a 1-year contract with the Pirates. And
my friend Brandon, that's Bobbles and Ball Cards. That's his favorite player.
I mean, and he's never been a great hitter. That was his problem. He had problems hitting, but he's one of the best defensive center fielders.
Gold Glover, man.
Oh yeah, he's Gold Glover in the center field. I mean, the guy is. I'm just glad he's staying in the.
And he's not a terrible. I've seen worse. I mean, you know, he's a 220 hitter.
He hits about 235, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so having him and a center fielder like that's a plus for you. Because they lost Bay, their other outfielder, this year. Pirates did. So that does, I mean, they got a good outfield. And, I mean, some people are talking about them making some noise.
And this morning on MLB, they were showing the highlights of this catcher. Now, I got to see some of the games. Not all. It was hard to watch the breakout games because they would show highlights of them, or they would switch over, and they would.
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching the Mets, and the Mets were playing the Nationals, and they switched off the game because the game that was scheduled had been raining, and it was the A's and somebody. So I watched some of the A's, and they were playing, I think, the Mariners, and then I watched some of the replay.
So now Washington didn't show it on their channel?
No, they did not. And
MLB, I mean, because New York was showing it on SNY.
So anyway, I saw about 8 teams, at least partial games, and I saw about 8 teams.
You saw the Padres catcher?
The team, no, Boston. Teal. He was the 14th pick in the first round of the draft last year, the University of Virginia catcher who was the ACC Player of the Year.
I got his autograph right there, 8x10.
They were showing this kid. They were showing this kid in the breakout game and the highlights of him in the breakout game and in what he did in the minors last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is probably going to be his hitting. They don't know if he can hit well enough to get to the major leagues, but some of the throws he made to get runners out, he caught one ball, backhanded it in the dirt in the other batter's box, and threw sidearm a strike to second base to throw a runner out. They say he's so agile he can play shortstop.
Well, I mean, so if that's the case,
he doesn't have to hit.
You don't have to hit, yeah.
But I mean, they were just pointing out he's just a kid. So in a couple of years, keep your eye open for this kid named Teal. Now, Miami, oh my goodness, the fans in Miami, they're already saying the season's over because Yuri Perez is out with a bad elbow, and they don't know how long he's going to be out, one of their starters. So now he's one of the guys that Baltimore was trying to trade for.
Well, guess what? He's on my fantasy team too. So.
Well, he's out with a bad elbow. You might have to get a cardboard cutout of Nolan Ryan to pitch for you. So
I have to play in the hospital for me to have
play in the hospital parking lot. And anyway, so and the Miami fans are already going, oh well, that's it, we're done, And I the fans, again, we talked about this weeks ago when I said as a fan of all the Washington teams, I have very low expectations. So I want to win, but I know the chances are not that great. But some of these fans today, I was talking to North Carolina got beaten in the ACC tournament last night by NC State in the last game. NC State, by the way, I know this is basketball. They won 5 days in a row. They played 5 games in 5 days and won the championship.
I know the game against Virginia, they pulled it out.
Virginia had the game won, but they're the third worst foul shooting team in the world. I saw one game where they won for 11. So they should have won that game, but they couldn't make a foul shot. So NC State won last night. 2 of my people that help teach in the children's department are North Carolina fans. They're ready to fire the coach. I mean, here they are, probably going to be a number 1 seed, and they're ready to fire the coach. Fans are crazy nowadays. I mean, just crazy. As soon as they lose a game, fire the coach. But anyway, I digress. But that's. I just thought I'd throw that in there because I thought it was kind of funny. All right, now, Blake Snell. Here's the deal with Blake Snell. He's been offered a short-term contract for good money by the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros have told Boras that this is what he's going to be getting on the 2 pitchers. Are these short-term? Nobody's going to want to give the long-term.
Nope.
One of the problems is, and they showed this on MLB the other day, and I saw it there, and then I looked it up, and I saw it was true. 6 teams this year will be over the limit. If they give those contracts, 8 other teams would go over the limit if they gave those contracts out to those 2 pitchers. If they went over the limit, they would be fined 20% on the dollar. That's 20 cents on the dollar. That's a lot of money, folks. Teams don't want to do that. The teams don't want to go on these long. They would rather sign a guy and give him a year or 2 and then have him opt out and try to do it again than to have the long-term contract and have to pay him for 20 years. I can't pronounce this young man's name, Mikolas, for the pitcher for the Mike Mikolas or for the Cardinals. He said, just like a lot of the other teams, the Cardinals have spent a lot of money this year on free agents. He said, but the Los Angeles Dodgers are the checkbook team.
Right.
And, so now they're telling Boras if he wants to sign these guys, he's going to have to adjust. But Boras is still thinking somebody's going to get desperate.
Yeah, I don't see if teams having with Cole going down and the Yankees not ponying up, with some other teams, including my Mets, with Senga going down and them not ponying up. I don't know who he thinks is going to come to the table. I don't know who he thinks. If the Cubs haven't even offered anything, or Baltimore, because Baltimore has a good amount of money, I don't know where he thinks who's coming. I don't know. Unless the season starts and he's willing to wait 6 weeks, and then those guys don't pitch until about mid-season.
Well, if they wait 6 weeks, that's May. That's May 1st.
Right. But no team is going to panic. You got to give them. No team's going to panic in the first week. I don't. That's my whole thing. It's like, when does he think these teams, if they're not panicking now with the injuries that are in the MLB right now, like if the Rangers ain't paying to have Montgomery come back, which everybody thought was
a done deal.
Then why do you think
pitchers are hurt?
Right. Why do you? And they're not going to pony up more. Why do you think they're going to pony up later? I don't.
Well, Houston said we will offer the same type of contract that Bellinger got. And if Bellinger's your guy, and the third baseman that signed with the Giants, Chapman, if there's your guy and they took less, then that's what your pitchers are going to get.
But you don't know if those guys said, "Look, Boris, I know you're the guy, but I'm willing to take this.
I want something."
Because Boris at the end of the day works for them. They don't work for Boris. So the longer they wait, I feel, yeah, they might get desperate if it's after the All-Star break. I don't know when he thinks this desperation sets in.
Yeah. And the last, by the way, the two games from Korea are this Wednesday and Thursday. And ESPN's coming on at 5 a.m, but I don't think the first pitch is till 6 o'clock. But I think the first pitches are at 6 o'clock in the morning. And thanks, Mike O, for giving me the heads up on that deal.
Right.
ESPN reported they'll be coming on the air at 5 o'clock each morning,
right.
And the games will be played. And I saw on the internet this morning, son, somebody came up with an article about the game, and they were calling it exhibition games. I'm thinking, no, these are the real deal. These count.
These count. These are real games. These two are real games.
Back, and they're going to play two more preseason spring training games.
I bet you not all their pitchers are going. They're only taking probably a couple of starting pitchers. So
they are taking. They're taking a few of the younger players. I understand San Diego has this 19 or 20-year-old outfielder that's just played a little bit in A ball and double A ball last year, and they say this kid is lighting up spring training.
Well, I don't. That's why I want to add. The Padres have a 16-year-old catcher, the youngest player to ever play in.
He's going to start 17 right after the season starts.
Right, but he played in a major league, minor league game, or a major league preseason game, and played well. So they're talking about this guy being just amazing.
If I may, I forgot, I should have made this point. I'm old and
go ahead.
I lose track and go off on tangents.
Oh, this is just us chatting. We're good.
I saw about 8 teams play at least a few innings on this breakout.
Yeah, I missed them. I was so upset.
Best team I saw, Pittsburgh. And I'll tell you what, the Orioles have the best talent in the minor leagues this year, and they have the best talent in the whole farm system, top to bottom. But when I watched the game between them and Pittsburgh, it was noted that Pittsburgh had the best pitching. They had the best minor league pitching. They pitched, and they only played 7 innings in those games. They were not 9-inning games; they were 7. And in fact, one of the games yesterday, I can't remember, it wound up 8-8 because 7 innings. That was it. But anyway, Pittsburgh, the 7 innings. There were 5. I think it was 5 pitchers for Pittsburgh pitched. The Skeens young man, he pitched the first inning. They gave up 1 hit. Skeens came out. The first batter came up with the Orioles. This highly touted center fielder, African-American youngster. I mean, he can fly. He was playing right behind second base, son. They hit a deep ball to center field, and he caught it easily. I mean, he ran back there like Willie Mays. It was amazing. But he came up first. Skeens threw him 3 fastballs, let her high. He swung at all 3 of them, never came close. First one was 101. Second one was 101. The third pitch was 102. Then the shortstop came up. That's going to play second for the Orioles. That was what everybody.
Jackson Holiday.
They were looking. This was the deal.
The matchup, right?
And this was the matchup, and he struck him out. He Now he went 3-2 on Jackson Holiday, and he struck him out on ball 4 because the ball was outside. He would have walked, but I mean, he was throwing 100 miles an hour. You don't have time to.
Yeah, you got to make it up pretty
So
quick.
he struck him out. The second time Holiday came up, there was a man on first. He had a line drive to third, and the guy doubled him off first, but he made solid contact. But they only got 1 hit. Now they brought in another pitcher in about the 5th inning, Pittsburgh did, and this kid was throwing 100. I'm going, oh my word! 2 of them in this game were throwing 100 miles, and their pitching was.
Did you, by any chance, happen to see the Diamondbacks minor league team?
I got to see this morning. They were showing highlights, and I got to see a little bit of it.
Andrew Jones's son plays for them. Drew.
Yeah, and they said he's having a real good spring.
Yes, he is. So I was kind of wondering if you got to see him.
Oh, and the other one that's having a good spring is the Mets' younger brother, Guerrero.
I know Acuna's having a good year.
Acuna.
Yeah.
Acuna's having a real good spring.
Yeah, he's making it tough on him because he wasn't supposed to come up till next year, the year after, because of his age.
Right.
And because when I looked at their roster for this breakout game, I was like, well, I like to see this team in the majors 2 years from now. Right. I was like, this is you take out, and their catcher is probably their top prospect, but Alvarez is in the pros on the majors, I should say, because they're pros as well. But in the major leagues is Alvarez, so there's nowhere for Parra to go. And they got a few other guys the same way, but they're the Mets right now are stacked well in their minor leagues.
Well, I kind of, I'm next week we'll make our predictions and all that, and that, but the Mets, I watched some of the Mets in Washington, and the Mets had some kids on that day. They look good.
They got one of the 5 of the top 100 players, and
they look real good. Washington didn't look
out
bad.
of top 125 or something.
Washington didn't look bad. They had a few kids that could stroke.
Washington's got a good minor league. They're both, though, are in the same where they got good fielders. Their pitching is where they're lacking.
And they got the same. They right now opening day, they've got the same starting staff that they had last year. They're identical.
Yeah, but a couple of those young guys. I mean that
Mackenzie Gore.
Gray. I mean, they're a year older, a year mature. They're going to look better. They're going to you get a little. Let those kids grow up a little bit.
Well, last year they had a 21-year-old kid at second base, Garcia. This year he's 22.
He's good.
He's 22. But he might get beat out. They have a 22-year-old coming up off the farm that's giving him a run for his money at second base.
Well, they can move him to third.
Yeah. If it was me, they'd both be on the field if the other guy had to play left field.
Because Garcia's so good. Yeah.
All right, now this, I don't want to be alarmed by it, but I'm concerned. Fubo. Fubo. You know what that is?
Yeah. No, I know what FUBAR is, but I don't know what Fubo.
Fubo is a streaming service.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
FUBO is a streaming service. They have purchased the rights to the Orioles and the Washington Nationals. I may not see them because they bought the rights to. This not only affects Masson, because they bought the Masson rights for the Orioles and the Nationals. They show NBA games. They show hockey, National Hockey League games. This fall they're going to show some NFL games. They have Olympics. They're going to have part of the Olympics. They're going to have all this stuff. It's going to cost $87 a month to watch all this.
Are you serious?
That's what I got it written down right here.
87 a month, not a year?
87 a month to watch all this sports.
Holy no.
Now, I don't know whether that affects my Comcast and Masson with Comcast or not. I have no idea. I don't know because Comcast, unless they send me a notice, let me know something, which I doubt. I might have to go. There's an office in town. I might run up there and just find out what's going on. But that's the article I read. I read that article. And
I believe you.
And here again, now that means the guy that wanted to buy the Nationals and put them on Monumental, that's out the window. If they have to be shown on Masson because of Fubo, then they can't sell because the guy won't be able to put them on Monumental. You can't tell me that guy can't in the United States. He can't buy that team and put them on the network he wants to.
Because I find it, because I'm sitting here looking at what they have. Bally Sports, which has a lot of the baseball, Marquee, which is Chicago. But I don't know if they could show those games out of market.
Well, see, for all I know, maybe this means that it'll show the games.
Because all it tells me is I can start for free, which means
so I don't know how that affects the Masson that's shown on Comcast. I don't know.
Right.
Because for all I know, Fubo can show it everywhere else, but Masson will still be shown on Comcast. I don't know.
They haven't updated their thing saying Masson on here. But yeah. That's huge. That's huge because that would be the start of of a whole thing. Well, they've already talking about they going like your local sports is going to go to streaming service because the channels can't afford to pay the ransom to have the games on their channels. But my thing is, if you don't pay, who's going to pay it? It's not some other channel's going to come through in and buy it, unless it's Fubo or another streaming service. And then they're going to be in the same boat. It's going to get too high because nobody's going to pay. I don't know who paid $86 a month. I don't know who will pay that for just. You're trying to get away from cable.
I read that sentence 3 times before I wrote it down in my notes.
Because what I'm thinking it is it's not just for sports. I'm seeing because they don't have a sports package. It's just their streaming service altogether. They're streaming. I have Hulu. That's what I pay. I don't pay $86 a month. But Fubo, that might be what it is to get all their channels.
Well, see, that's probably, you're probably right. I am just telling you what I read, and because they just talked about sports.
Because they have a lot of stuff on here.
I guess you could do that instead of getting cable. I don't know.
They have MLB Big Innings, so I guess that's probably like, because I don't have cable. I have Hulu to watch my TV.
But you watch television on your computer.
I also watch it on my TV. I have Hulu on all my screens, including my phone.
But I thought that was the last bit of my note. But when I read that, I went, uh-oh. Because if I'm going to lose Masson in that, I might go down and talk to my cable company and talk about getting rid of some of my sports channels and just getting the basic stuff and watching ESPN, and that'd be it, because there's no point in paying what I pay to be able to watch these games if I can't watch them. It's idiotic. I mean, I've got the ACC network now, and I can watch Virginia games and a lot of the softball and baseball and stuff I really love. But I mean, it's just if they start taking these things away and putting them on these streaming services, and you got to pay extra to do that, that's, I don't know how the cable companies are going to survive if they keep doing this.
They're not. That's the thing, is cable companies are dying because streaming is what the future is. That's what the whole thing with the strikes with the actors and writers were all about. And cable is on its last leg because my generation is already streaming. I mean, we started streaming when we were a little younger. I've talked to you before about it, and it's just, it's going to be because it started with DirecTV, was kind of where you had satellite, and it started that, and then now when the streaming came in, the next generation, cable's dead. It's just
Yeah, well, I mean, the satellite, the Dish network, and those they
they're
charge
gone.
you the same thing. They charge you the same thing that.
But now they might still have a satellite thing out there, but they're all DirecTV's a streaming service now. Because I mean, everybody has internet. I mean, unless you're out, in a very rural area, and you have to have a dish there for your internet and your TV. That's about the only place in the cities.
We get our TV, and we get our internet through Comcast. You get it all one package.
Right, but so eventually Comcast cable will be gone. It'll be Comcast streaming, which they basically do anyway, because it all comes in on the same thing. It works on you got a box that works it instead of, I mean, you've been here. I've showed you my Firefox. We just watched it. MLB just works better on my computer than it does on my TV.
Yeah.
But hopefully that'll change.
I also have to watch because that has implications not on just some old coot like me watching a ball game, but on the sale of the team.
Yeah. Well, it might help to sell a team if it's no longer in the Washington Nationals' hands, right?
Well, what I'm saying is the man that wants to buy the team owns Monumental, and he wants to.
I understand that. I know, but also Washington was blocking it for the simple fact is they had this contract for the Baltimore games, or Baltimore had the contract for the Washington games. Now that's gone, if that's what you're telling me.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It said that the headline said that Fubo adds Masson.
Well, okay. So add some context then. All they did was add it to the streaming service. You'll be fine. So Masson,
I should be fine.
Masson is still Masson. Fubo didn't touch anything. So Fubo just now they have it on their streaming service. That's all that is.
I was it, but I wasn't sure.
Because I was reading it and I was like, holy smoke. So yeah. So and that's what I'm talking about. The generation gap when it comes to the streaming services and understanding of how it works. You've never dealt with it, right? At all. So
no, because I get too confused just turning the TV on.
Yeah, I was about to say you've gone from antenna world to cable to
I've gone from
TV. Right. I know. I'm just saying in the progress of having a TV. So and people I've been in the house with you when TV. So I understand where the issues are.
We used to listen to the radio.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, yeah, it's easy to misunderstand that.
The shadow knows. You used to listen to that on Sunday night.
Right. So, that makes me feel better because if a streaming service, which is coming, it is coming. I'm waiting for a streaming service to get rights for somebody. And then when that happens, I don't know how it's going to work because I'm trying to get my MLB package straight, and I still haven't got that straight yet. So I'm getting antsy because games start here really, really soon. But anyway, yeah, that was a scary moment, Dad, but I think we got it straight. You should be okay. Masson is still Masson. They're just being on a Fubo added to their package, which it looks like they got a lot of sports packages or sports stuff on there. Anything else, Dad, that you have for us that you're not going to give me a heart attack with?
No, I'm just curious. I'm kind of curious where Montgomery and Snell are going to sign. I just,
and JD Martinez and there's still some players out there.
JD Martinez could have signed a contract by now, but
Several times.
he's playing. He's doing the same waiting game.
Well, they're losing money. Like Matt Chapman lost a ton of money. What the Blue Jays offered him and what he signed for is a big difference. And they've lost money because of Scott Boras. And now I think it's funny because Boras was this guy that could walk on water for these players, and now he lost Chapman money straight up. So, I think it's great because I know my favorite player is under his umbrella. So for next year, and so is Soto. So it's not going to be a fun year for me next year. I can see Pete getting traded. I've said it a number of times before the trade deadline. So it is what it is. If the Mets are not fighting to be in the playoffs, he's gone. And I don't think they basically have the same lineup that they've had, and they can't I don't care who's pitching. If you can't score, it doesn't matter. So that's where that is. But any closing thoughts, Dad, before we take off?
Nope.
All right. Well, I hope everybody's enjoying their start of the spring, and I know my allergies have been kicking in and everything. And
well, I mean, I noticed it Wednesday evening when I went out to go to church to teach the kids. I already had pollen on my truck.
Yeah.
Like last year, it's about 3-4 weeks early.
Yeah. So everybody got real baseball starting this week. So start enjoying the games. We'll come back with our picks next week and any thoughts of the season. Until then, like, share, tell a friend. Welcome to everybody new, and we'll see ya.